Hi everyone, welcome back to the channel. Just me and I suppose you for this video. Not done one of these solo videos in quite a while. I think we've just had so much variation on the channel with different voices. But we thought we'd kind of go back to our roots in a way and bring you one of these videos because for some reason you people like to just watch this idiot chatting about Celtic. We've done quite well on the channel lately in terms of variation, if I don't say so myself. And we've gained a lot of subscribers as well. Much appreciated anyone who has subbed recently or, to be honest, at any point in our kind of short history so far. We are closing in on 20,000 subs. I still can't quite believe I'm saying that. We're about 400 away. We're going to try and see if we can do it before Celtic next kick a ball. That's 8 days' time against Ross County. Can we get over the 20,000 subs? Are you watching this video and you've maybe just realised, oh, I quite like that guy, I quite like all their content, but I've not yet subscribed to the channel? Well, it really would make a difference for all of us if you would mind doing that. Please give it a go, and yeah, we'll get on to the important stuff now. But yeah, international breaks are a time for making horrendous jokes and certainly a time for reflection. And I'm reflecting a lot on Celtic at the moment. Partly because I just can't be bothered thinking about international football. I don't know how any of the kind of people who follow Scotland a bit feel about this, but during the summer there was certainly a real wave of excitement when the Euros was on. And I was kind of happy because I felt that international breaks going forward would be less horrible, less boring, because we'd be more invested in the national team. And I don't know whether it's just because Steve Clarke doesn't seem to be a particularly good manager, or because Ange is just so amazing and all these new Celtic players and this Celtic team is so amazing. But I just want Celtic back in my life so much. It's just as well I chat about Celtic every day in this YouTube channel because I don't know what I would do otherwise. We're back in 8 days' time, as I say, against Ross County. So I thought this would be a good point to kind of look back but don't stare. Is that the saying? But definitely ponder what's to come for Celtic. What lessons can we learn from this first chunk of the season and take into the next chunk of, I think, 7 games before the next international break? Sunday at Ibrox. Yes, apologies, we're going back there. I know it seems like a fair while ago now. It was a pretty hard one to take, wasn't it? Like, hurt a lot because I felt it was a game we could have got something out of. We probably built up that final week before the international break as being really big for Celtic, set the tone, make or break, all of those kind of phrases that basically anyone will use. The reality for me is that, yeah, it was slightly disappointing, but I don't really feel too much has been lost. Yes, we lost in the Netherlands. We still qualified for the Europa League group stage, so that's fair enough. Yes, we lost at Ibrox and we're now 3 points behind Rangers. I think we're 4 or 5 points off first place in the Premiership. But again, we're 4 games into the season. There is so much football still to be played. We've still got 2 of the last 3 derbies at Celtic Park, and there is still so much improvement in this Celtic team. So I don't think we should lose heart too much. But there are certainly lessons that have to be learned from those last 2 games we played, certainly the last one at Ibrox, and hopefully Ange is the guy who's going to do that. The obvious one for me, and so many people have spoken about it, is Kyogo and Kyogo's role and position in the team. He just has to be a striker for me now because Celtic look so much more threatening when he's playing up top. Yes, you can probably get away with Kyogo playing on the left when you're at home to, no disrespect, Dundee and St Mirren. He certainly played on the left against St Mirren and we still won 6-0. But I think when you're going to tougher away games where you're going to be a little bit more penned in and you need to offer a threat in behind, you're going to have less possession. We definitely need Kyogo up front because he is just far more threatening than when he's playing on the left. Basically, I was about to dig Edouard out there and then I just remembered Edouard plays for Crystal Palace now, so there's no point in doing that, Hamish. Right, major controversial thing to say. I don't actually think that the defeat at Ibrox on Sunday and the one in Alkmaar as well are absolutely horrendous things to happen to this Celtic team. Now, before you shout at me and abuse me on Twitter, just hear me out. This Celtic team is a new Celtic team. This is a Celtic team that, after a kind of slow start under Ange with those games against like Midtjylland and Hearts, just found their feet so quickly. We went on that 5-game winning run with all games at Celtic Park, and the team just got better and better with every passing game, to the extent where we were beating the third best team in the Netherlands 2-0 at home, and then putting 6 past St Mirren a couple of days later. Like, when you get that in your head, that's a really impressive run to go on for a new team. Every single game, the Celtic fans were going to Parkhead, bigger smiles on their faces with every passing game. The team was looking fitter. The team was looking more in tune with Ange's tactics and his way of playing. And then we hit that inevitable slump, that inevitable slip-up, I suppose, and it happened twice against Alkmaar and Rangers. And I actually don't think that and the international break happened when it did is the worst thing to happen to this Celtic team. I think it's just a reminder to everyone at the club, including the manager, including the fans as well, that this is still going to be difficult. We've still got our work cut out for us this season. It's not all going to be plain sailing. Let's get down to work and let's put this right. And I honestly think you'll see a Celtic team that are motivated to put this right the next time we're on the pitch against Ross County. I was looking through the first team signings we've made this summer. So the club saying we signed 12. For me, Liam Shaw and Asazi Urigide can't be considered first team signings yet. Why? Well, neither of them have even played a competitive minute for the club this season. They're clearly not ready to be regulars or even kind of small contributors to the first team at the moment. So 10 first team signings. You've actually only seen probably 4, really, when you think about it. Now, you've seen them a lot. Kyogo, massive impact at the club. Same goes for Abada. Same goes for Joe Hart. Carl Starfelt, less so, but he's been a constant figure basically since signing, since he was chucked in without a training session at Tynecastle in the first game of the season. It's only really those 4 though. Yes, we've seen glimpses of James McCarthy. We've seen one game of Josip Juranovic at Ibrox, but we're yet to fully see those guys playing. Hopefully McCarthy isn't going to be as injury prone as perhaps his first few weeks at the club suggest. Hopefully he can get fit and be a contributor for Celtic, because I still think we're light in the midfield. But we've got those 2, and then you've got Liam Scales as well, and you've also got the 3 deadline day signings: Cameron Carter-Vickers, Felipe Jota and Georgios Giakoumakis, and I've finally nailed that. But these are all players who, for me, without meaning to use a COVID term, I really need to steer clear of COVID, they can bring us a second wave of excitement as Celtic supporters. We've certainly had the first one. As I say, when those first 4 players came in, we all felt it. We all felt that joy at watching Abada, watching Kyogo score that hat-trick in his home debut. And I honestly think we're going to get a similar one as well when we get the likes of Giakoumakis and Jota and perhaps Cameron Carter-Vickers and maybe even Liam Scales and Juranovic into this Celtic team. I really think we've got that to look forward to. Starting with our gorgeous Georgios, the Greek striker we've signed from VVV Venlo, and that's the final time I'm ever saying their team's name on the channel. He's going to wear number 7 for us this season. Cue everyone losing their head and thinking, oh, this is just setting them up to be a complete failure. For me, if you're going to be number 7 after Henrik Larsson, I think that was Juninho from memory, that's a big deal. Being number 7 after, like, with all due respect, Paddy Roberts, who barely played, and Miku and Freddie Lundberg and Nadir Chifchi, there's not quite as much pressure there for me. I think the whole thing about number 7 will always be iconic to Celtic because of Larsson. Obviously Jimmy Johnson wore that number as well, but when you look at the likes of Chifchi and Miku wearing it in recent years, it's not a big deal for me. Scott McDonald, 67 Hail Hales, very own Scott McDonald wore it as well. I think he started at 27 and moved to 7. But Giakoumakis will be judged, like Scott McDonald and like every other Celtic striker, by the goals he scores and, being brutally honest, by the start he makes at the club. He just has to hit the ground running. There isn't really any other way for it. Hopefully the form that he showed last year with said team in the Eredivisie means that he's really still full of confidence and he can come into Celtic. I would love to see him getting a few minutes in the game against Ross County. It seems like the ideal kind of game to give him some minutes, maybe even like the last half an hour if we're winning. Hopefully he can nab us a goal and really get his Celtic career underway. I'm quite excited about this guy. I think he's going to be good. You just get that feeling with some players. I think he's going to be a very different option to Kyogo, but he looks like he can play as well. Liam Scales. Now, Liam Scales for me is the most interesting signing Celtic probably made all summer, because he's a player who we don't really know how good he's going to be until he actually plays for the club. But I think he's going to be a lot better than a lot of people realise. John made this point, I think, in a video earlier in the week, that he thinks Liam Scales could be the big surprise of all the Celtic signings this summer. He got some good news, I think earlier today, on Friday, that he's been called up to the Republic of Ireland squad for their upcoming games against Azerbaijan and Serbia. Can only be a good thing for him to be getting international experience, even more so before he's kicked a ball for Celtic. He's clearly highly rated to have earned that call-up, basically by his performances in the League of Ireland, if it's still called that. Cameron Carter-Vickers, we touched on yesterday's video with Larry Henry Jr. Brilliant to get his thoughts on Cameron as well. But I think it's going to be interesting to kind of ponder how quickly Carter-Vickers comes into the team. In general, Ange hasn't taken long to get new signings into the first team. But who does he take out to put Carter-Vickers in? I think it would be incredibly harsh on Stephen Welsh, who for me has been one of our best players over the last 2 or 3 weeks. Starfelt would then probably be the guy who Carter-Vickers would go in for, but Starfelt was a huge signing for us this summer, and it's a big statement from the manager to take him out. I'm not saying Starfelt's going to be a failure at all at Celtic. I still honestly think he'll come good, but maybe for now, when we need to kind of shore up at the back and stop conceding such slack goals, Carter-Vickers could be the guy to come in. But I think that's one to watch. Felipe Jota as well, the one I know least about. I'm really going to try and get a so-called expert on to tell us a bit about him, because I think he's kind of gone under the radar a bit with obviously the fact that Giakoumakis is a striker and the fact that Carter-Vickers was so late and so dramatic. Jota was kind of the quiet one, so I think he can really add us something based on the YouTube videos. That's basically what I'm getting at. He's done some nice wee tricks on YouTube, so I think he'll be a star. Basically, I'm just counting down the days till Celtic are back. We're going to have so much more content coming between now and then. I'm going to try and get experts on for the likes of Jota and Giakoumakis, and hopefully Liam Scales as well, to find out a bit about all of these players. We did Cameron Carter-Vickers yesterday. We're going to have, I think, press conferences from certainly a few of the new signings next week. I think Celtic are setting that up. We'll obviously have all that on the channel. We'll have far more from Scott McDonald. We've also got an interview I did yesterday up inside Celtic Park. Don't know why they let me in. It might have been something to do with Jackie McNamara. So I actually had a one-on-one conversation with Jackie in the flesh, no internet required, and that's going to be with you on Monday evening. So we've got lots of varied content coming on the channel. Reminder to keep subscribing if for some reason you've not done it yet. It is really appreciated by everyone. Have a lovely weekend, and we'll speak to you soon.